There's a very specific kind of humiliation that hits different. The kind that makes you question every life choice that led you to standing barefoot in your own front yard wearing socks covered in tiny, smiling pepperoni pizzas while a police officer asks you with a straight face to step away from your own rocking chair. Yeah, that was my Tuesday. The sun was hanging heavy over Willow Creek Estates in Savannah, Georgia, the kind of sticky southern afternoon where even the air feels judgmental. And there I was, coffee mug in hand, ironic little thing that said I don't work here, watching red and blue lights bounce off my vinyl siding like I'd accidentally opened a low-budget nightclub called Suburban Felon. Across the street stood the architect of my public disgrace, Eleanor Thorne. Floral tracksuit visor pulled low. Phone held horizontally like she was filming a nature documentary titled Suspicious Male in Natural Habitat. She pointed one acrylic nail at me like she was casting a spell. "He's doing it again, officer. Look at his eyes. He's loitering with malicious intent." Loitering. On my porch. Sergeant Silas Whitaker, mid-40s soul, visibly exhausted, let out a sigh so deep it probably qualified as cardio. The man looked like he'd joined the force hoping for high-speed chases and ended up refereeing disputes about hedge height. "Sir," he said, voice flat as a week-old soda. "Do you reside at this address?" "I bought it 6 months ago," I said, gesturing to the house. "The bank technically owns my spirit, but yes, this is home." "And what were you doing?" "I was sitting." Sitting? Apparently a gateway crime. I'd been reading a thriller called The Crimson Veil. Just hit the part where the protagonist realizes the phone call is coming from inside the house, and honestly, that felt metaphorical. Eleanor screeched from across the asphalt. "He's casing the neighborhood, watching the children." There were no children. Just 2 teenagers staring at their phones like the rest of civilization. Ma'am, Whitaker muttered, rubbing his temples, "You can't loiter on your own porch. That's just called living." But then he leaned closer, voice low. "She's going to keep calling. And when she calls, we have to come. Maybe just take it inside." And for a second I almost did. Almost surrendered the porch. Then I looked at Eleanor. That smirk. That tight, smug purse of the lips that said I own this street. And something in me shifted. "No," I said. And it felt like moving a mountain. "I'm not under arrest. I'm finishing my chapter." I sat back down. Police left. Eleanor hissed an actual feline hiss and slammed her door. That should have been the end. It wasn't. Within the hour she'd posted in the neighborhood Facebook group, Whispering Pines watchdog warning about criminal elements at 402 Highland Drive. Comments rolled in like it was the Salem witch trials with Wi-Fi. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just a neighbor anymore. I was a target. And if Eleanor wanted to play by the rules, weaponizing them, then I was about to learn those rules better than she ever had. That night I did 2 things. I memorized the Willow Creek HOA handbook like it was scripture, and I called the highest-rated deck contractor in Savannah. Monday morning at exactly 7 a.m., the precise second local ordinance allowed construction noise, a lifted Ford F350 rolled up like Judgment Day on wheels. Out stepped Hank. 6'4" beard like it housed wildlife arms the size of regret. "You the one who wants the maximum variance special?" he asked. "I want a deck legal to the millimeter," I said, "and I want it tall." He grinned. "Half my builds are designed to annoy somebody across the street. Let's dance." Circular saws ripped through the quiet like thunderclaps. Eleanor's front door flew open on cue. "Permits," she shrieked. Hank didn't even look up. Just tapped the laminated permit taped to my window. "City approved. Structural remediation. Termites. Very aggressive termites," Hank added solemnly. "They eat wood, then calcium." The look on her face priceless. By Wednesday, the cedar walls of my new porch, complete with integrated privacy screen, began rising like a fortress. I could see out. She couldn't see in. She filed an aesthetic violation. $500 fine. I paid it immediately. Attached a note. "Keep the change. There's more coming." And that's when the twist walked in. Because while Hank built wood and nails vengeance, I went digging. Not literally. But I drove to a less postcard-friendly part of Savannah and met a private investigator named Vinny the Ghost Salvatore, a man who looked like he'd been born in a smoky room and never left. I slid Eleanor's photo across the desk. "She thinks she's untouchable." Vinny smiled slowly. "People who obsess over policing others," he said, "usually do it because they're terrified of someone checking their own backyard." 48 hours later, he called. "Meet me at the diner." He handed me a manila folder. And folks, this wasn't dirt. This was archaeology. Eleanor Thorne wasn't Eleanor Thorne. 10 years ago in Columbus, Ohio, she'd been Eleanor Kowalski. Bench warrants, illegal dumping of hazardous waste, a Starbucks high-speed pursuit, and the crown jewel, a hit-and-run involving a city vehicle. She'd skipped bail, disappeared, rebranded herself as HOA royalty, weaponizing law enforcement because she was terrified of it. And here's the kicker. Georgia and Ohio had a reciprocal agreement. If she was ID'd during a police encounter, they had to extradite. I didn't need to call the police. I just needed her to. One more time. 2 weeks after Pizza Sock Day, my deck was finished, cedar masterpiece gleaming in the sun. I set up a small folding table at the edge of my driveway. Checkered cloth, ice-cold lemonade, and a sign, Whispering Pines Refreshment Station, complimentary for all residents. Below that smaller print, service refused to anyone named Eleanor due to pending litigation regarding bad vibes. Petty. Oh, absolutely. But legal. Dissed AM. Her door creaked open. She saw the sign. I watched through my security monitor as her face cycled from confusion to crimson to nuclear. She didn't use non-emergency this time. She went straight 911. 2 cruisers arrived. Sergeant Whitaker stepped out looking like he'd aged 5 years since our last meeting. She's running an illegal business, Eleanor screamed. Emotional battery. Whitaker inspected the sign. Ma'am, he said calmly, it's free. And being mean isn't illegal. I demand he be arrested. I have a flawless record. That was my cue. I walked down the steps, folder tucked under my arm. You sure about that record, Eleanor? She spat at me, called me a thug. I handed the folder to Whitaker. The air changed. You could feel it. He flipped pages. Mugshot, warrants, bench notices. His partner jogged to the cruiser. Ran the database. 30 seconds. Thumbs up. Active warrants. Extradition confirmed. Eleanor's face drained to gray. I'm having a medical emergency, she stammered, backing toward her door. Stay right there, ma'am. Handcuffs clicked. And I swear to you, that metallic snap was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. She screamed about lawsuits, police brutality, the sun conspiring against her. But she went into that cruiser. Mrs. Higgins, 3 houses down, silent victim of Eleanor's HOA tyranny for years, raised her coffee mug toward me in quiet salute. Whitaker walked over to the lemonade table. Is it actually lemonade? Best you'll have today, Sergeant. He took a long sip, exhaled. Nice porch, Mr. Vance. Try to keep the bad vibes down. As the sirens faded, so did the tension, and the silence that followed, sweeter than justice. Eleanor was extradited back to Ohio, faced her warrants, lost the house, lost the crown. And me, I sat back in my rocking chair. Finished my book. No police lights. No shrieking. Just wind through cedar. Now here's the part that lingers. Because somewhere between the sawdust and the handcuffs, I had a realization. Power isn't about who yells loudest. It's about who understands the rules. And sometimes the people screaming law and order the hardest are the ones most afraid of it. But I'll admit something else too. Digging up someone's buried past, even when they deserve it, doesn't feel entirely clean. Was it justice? Or was it revenge dressed up in paperwork? Did I protect myself? Or did I just learn how to weaponize the system better than she did? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The law isn't always a shield. Sometimes it's just a tool. And whoever knows how to swing it first, wins. So I'll ask you, when does defending your peace cross into becoming the villain in someone else's story? Did the punishment fit the crime? Or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts below. I genuinely want to know. Have you ever dealt with someone who hid behind rules to control others? And if you fought back, how far is too far? Let's talk about it.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.